In a world that never seems to stop spinning, where notifications hit harder than thoughts, and the noise outside drowns out your voice inside, it's easy to feel like your mind isn't yours anymore. You wake up tired. You go to sleep wired. And somewhere in between you wonder, when did I lose control? The truth is you're not alone. A recent survey from the American Psychological Association showed that 77% of adults in the US say stress impacts their physical health. Another study found that people check their phones an average of 144 times a day. That's more than 5 times an hour, even while sleeping. But what if it didn't have to be that way? What if you could quiet the noise, clear the fog, and walk through the chaos with clarity, calm, and control? That's what this video is about. We're diving into 9 timeless Stoic lessons. Not theories but real, usable tools to free your mind from modern chaos. Lessons inspired by the ancient wisdom of Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius, and brought into today's world by voices like Ryan Holiday and David Goggins. People who've not just read about discipline, they live it. Who've walked through fire, and came out harder than steel. This isn't about being perfect. It's about taking back your peace. Because no one else will guard your mind for you. That's your job. And it starts now. Some people spend years running from themselves. They scroll, binge, overthink, and still feel stuck. But here's the truth. Until you take control of your emotions, your life will always feel like someone else is holding the remote. Terry Crews, known for his strength on screen, once admitted that behind closed doors he was losing a battle with rage. He grew up around abuse and silence, bottling everything inside. And for years, it leaked into his relationships, his decisions, his peace. It wasn't until he sought therapy and started doing the hard emotional work that he found power. Not in dominance but in discipline. That's what David Goggins calls callousing the mind. Not to suppress what you feel but to train your reactions like a warrior trains muscle. Every emotion is data, not destiny. And when you start to know what you feel, you can finally ask, what truly matters to me? That's where purpose enters. Without purpose, you're like a ship in the ocean with no compass. You drift. You crash into things. You go wherever the current pushes you. But with purpose, everything changes. You move with intention. Viola Davis grew up in extreme poverty. She was often hungry, teased, and overlooked. But she found a sense of direction in acting. Not because it made her famous, but because it made her feel seen. Her purpose wasn't about applause. It was about voice. Ryan Holiday says, "Purpose is not what you do for the world. It's what you keep doing even when the world doesn't clap." And once you find that purpose, the storms of life won't stop, but you'll stop letting them control your course. That's called acceptance. Acceptance doesn't mean you give up. It means you stop fighting what you can't change and start using your energy where it counts. Joe Rogan often talks about this mindset. His schedule is full, his life is public, but his peace comes from having systems. A gym routine. Cold plunges. Time to read. That's structure, and structure breeds clarity. Phil Knight, the founder of Nike, nearly lost everything multiple times in his journey. Legal issues, near bankruptcy, public doubt. But his vision, to create gear for dreamers and doers, was bigger than the obstacles. His clarity came not from avoiding the storms but from choosing to keep going through them. And that's what Massimo Pigliucci, a modern Stoic philosopher, reminds us. You can't control the waves, but you can learn to surf. The first real step to mastering your inner chaos isn't about fixing everything. It's about standing still long enough to notice what's pulling you around, and choosing what you'll anchor to instead. So take a deep breath. You've survived every bad day you've ever had. Now let's learn how to live better. Resilience isn't about pretending everything is fine. It's about standing up after being knocked down, again and again and again. Steve Jobs knew that better than anyone. After being fired from his own company, humiliated and dismissed by the very people he helped build up, he could have quit. Instead, he went inward. He spent time in quiet reflection, launched new ventures, reinvented himself. And when he returned to Apple, he changed not just the company, but the world. As Ryan Holiday teaches, the obstacle is not the end. It's the beginning. David Goggins would call this embracing the suck. He believes resilience is built like armor, through fire, repetition, and choosing discomfort over excuses. You don't get stronger by avoiding pain. You get stronger by facing it, over and over and over. But even when we show up every day, there's a hidden enemy inside. Shame. That quiet voice that says, "You're not enough. You'll never be enough." Michael Jordan, one of the greatest athletes in history, was cut from his high school basketball team. He could have let shame define him. Instead, he used it as fuel. He trained alone in silence while others laughed. And years later, he didn't just make the team, he built a legacy. Jocko Willink, former Navy SEAL, puts it this way: when something bad happens, say, good. Why? Because now you have a chance to learn, to rise, to adapt. And no one knew adaptation like Chris Gardner. A single father, sleeping in subway bathrooms with his son. Homeless, hungry, broke. But every day he showed up with a tie, applied for jobs, studied finance in secret. The shame of his situation didn't stop him. It sharpened him. That's not luck. That's mental warfare. Greg McKeown, in his book Essentialism, writes, "When you focus on what truly matters, you make space for peace. And peace isn't the absence of problems. It's the ability to stay grounded while solving them." Liz Murray's story is another reminder. Born to drug-addicted parents, she was homeless by 15. She used candlelight to study while sleeping on park benches. And yet, she didn't collapse under shame. She graduated from Harvard. Not because life got easier, but because her focus got clearer. Elon Musk faced ridicule for his rocket failures. He bet everything on projects that exploded, literally. But he said, failure is an option here. If things are not failing, you're not innovating enough. You see, strength isn't measured by how well you avoid pain. It's measured by how you respond to it. You can't always control what happens to you, but you can control how you interpret it. You can't control the critics, but you can control your commitment to growth. Resilience is a choice. Control is a habit. And shame? Shame is a shadow that disappears when you face it head-on. So ask yourself, what are you carrying that isn't yours anymore? Let it go, and step forward with power. Sometimes the world isn't what's crushing you. It's the expectations you put on yourself. To always be strong, always right, always in control. But what if strength didn't come from holding everything in? What if it came from letting go? Keanu Reeves is one of Hollywood's most respected actors. Not because he shouts for attention, but because he lives with grace. He lost his best friend. He lost his partner. His daughter was stillborn. And still, he shows up with kindness. He gives quietly. He listens deeply. His power isn't in showing strength. It's in showing empathy. As David Goggins says, true strength is not loud. It's silent, focused, and built when no one is watching. That silence, it's where self-awareness begins. Ryan Holiday says, stillness is the key. You can't understand yourself when you're always distracted. You can't grow if you never pause. Sometimes the most courageous thing you can do is sit still and feel. Jeff Bezos, long before Amazon took over the world, used a mental trick he called the regret minimization framework. When faced with a tough decision, he asked himself, when I'm 80 years old, will I regret not doing this? That's clarity. That's awareness. And it's something we can all practice, even without millions of dollars. Mark Manson, author of The Subtle Art of Not Giving a F***, puts it in plain words. You have a limited number of things you can care about. So choose wisely. Most people chase success without ever asking, success at what? They end up exhausted, but not fulfilled. And here's where the third key comes in: simplicity. Naval Ravikant, entrepreneur and thinker, says, a calm mind, a fit body, and a house full of love. These things can't be bought. They must be earned. We complicate our lives trying to impress people we don't like. We fill our calendars, our closets, our thoughts, and still feel empty. But the truth is, freedom isn't found in more. It's found in less. Tyler Perry started his career living in his car, writing plays, rejected, ignored. But he kept going. He simplified everything: his message, his vision, his routine. And over time, simplicity became success. Not loud, not flashy, but real. Because when you focus on what really matters, you let go of what doesn't. You don't need to control everyone's opinion. You don't need to prove anything to the world. You don't need more noise, more clutter, more fake perfection. You need peace. And peace starts with one question: what can I remove from my life today? So breathe, let go, and remember, sometimes the strongest thing you can do is walk away from what no longer serves you. You've made it this far. That already says something. In a world of noise, you chose to stop, to listen, to reflect, and maybe for the first time in a while, to breathe. You've seen how discipline can tame emotion, how purpose gives direction, how acceptance creates space. You've met people who lost everything, Jobs, Gardner, Murray, and chose not to break but to build. You've been reminded that peace isn't found on a screen or in a title or in other people's approval. Peace is built slowly, in silence. Ryan Holiday says, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." David Goggins lives that truth every day. He teaches that pain is not the enemy, it's the portal. What both men show us in their own ways is that greatness isn't loud. It's not flashy. It's quiet, focused, and built step by step. So here's the challenge now. Don't just nod. Don't just agree. Write down the lesson that hit you hardest today. Live it. Breathe it. Share it. And if this video sparked something in you, if it gave you even one moment of clarity, peace, or strength, help that feeling reach someone else. Give it a like. Subscribe. Not for algorithms, but because someone out there needs exactly what you just heard. Stay disciplined. Stay grounded. Stay free. Hey, incredible growth seekers. Wow, what a journey. If this video resonated, subscribe now for more life-changing content. Join our community of self-improvers. Smash that like button to fuel more content on mindfulness, goal setting, and emotional intelligence. Share this video to create a ripple of positive change. Comment below about your growth journey. Your insights shape our content. Next week, boosting self-confidence and overcoming limiting beliefs. Don't miss it. Every interaction brings us closer to a world of empowered individuals. Let's make personal development global. Stay inspired, keep growing. Your best self awaits. Let's unlock it together.